Good day to all. Thank you, panelists, for joining. We are at the University of Latvia Doctoral School's Hall Sapere Aude, in Latin it means dare to know. And I dare us to know a bit more about the interesting topic, how to handle and how to look from the positive side towards the turbulent world. And my offer of having this panel is to start with small 5-minute introductory remarks with some short sentences about why speakers are ready to share their view here, then followed up with a short quick and answer session to try to maybe horizontal it out, and then we'll open the stage to questions to the audience, and in the end let's try to wrap it up. So that's the plan of the panel. Without further ado, I invite our colleagues to start giving their short introductory remarks, and maybe let's start from this side, from Normunds, please.
You surprised me. I was looking at Mr. Puriņš and thought that I have plenty of time. Let's try to survive. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm not director of Latvian Development Agency. I don't want to steal that position. I'm president of Industry Development Confederation and Electronics Manufacturers Association. So it's more industry related. I will try to narrow down my topic and my points to new and growing defense industry in Latvia. So it's not that much how to survive in regular industries, because it's very, very lengthy, very complicated, and mostly very narrowly niche-based. So you cannot speak about industry as a whole because, for instance, challenges in wood processing or electronics or metalworks are completely different. So you cannot put them just into one bowl. But as for defense, and as Latvia is quite famously initiator of drone initiative, right? So it's everything about drones, and that drone can be, flying one, floating one, and also rolling one. Not crawling, no, we are not there yet. But driving is also very much okay. So we have a lot of startups. And here is the first remark. In defense industry, it's usually like as with a lot of things, there are three aspects. It's good, it's bad, and what is ugly. First, with the drone industry and defense in overall, you cannot speak about startups as normal understanding of startups coming out of scientific institutes or coming with 3 students with black t-shirts. Why? Because in defense, in fact, you have just one buyer, and this is your MOD. It's either you are alive or you are dead, and it's pretty much depends on one gentleman at the other side of on this panel, figuratively speaking. But generally, it's quite a few people who are deciding that. Is that product good, and are we going to finance them or not? Which means that for me, as an investor, it's extremely risky investment, right? In early stage startups. So it's not happening. In Latvia, probably there are maybe 2 companies who are startups in that normal definition of startups. Usually it is existing company with existing business who for whatever reason decided to jump into unknown, to jump into new line of production. And then again, for them as well, the same applies. You can keep that design stage and product development only as far until you run out of money. Period. And again, this is guy in that corner who decides are you going to live or not. And then there is another paradigm I learned very hard way back in late 80s. which is still applicable today. And that is, it's safe to fail with IBM. It's safe to fail with IBM. And this is applicable for every governmental official in every country up to this day. Right? What does it mean? It means that if you make a tender, big one, better in billion of euros, to one tier one supplier, long term, nobody will blame you if the gadget will not fly or if not go kaboom in the right way or whatever it's supposed to do. And the big suppliers, big manufacturers are trying to keep that concept alive. Very, very hardly, very, very heavily. And it works so far. All let's say, post-war or all Cold War defense industry and defense policies were working in that way, right? If we are going to decide do we need nuclear submarines or do we need F-35s or all those big platforms, right? It's multi-billion, multi-year. Or cannons in Latvian case or Patrias. Still very nice, very maybe good, very expensive equipment, which is now proven to be very easily to be destroyed in battlefields in Ukraine by the cheap drone. And then we are going to those drones, right? It's completely new, very cheap price per kill, an extremely quick design phase involvement, and everything is based on do, fail, repeat, right? Preferably on live Russians, right? And you get very quick feedback, and also those mistakes are very, very deadly if you don't protect your pilots well. Yeah? Drone is quite a complex thing. It's not just one flying gadget. It's quite a complex process involved with people, communications, etc., jamming. If you don't protect your pilots well, they got killed. Right? So the price of all that design and development, in fact, is people's lives. And it's extremely quick, and only Ukrainians can do that process properly because they pay the proper price. Right? And only they can do so quick turnaround. And trust me, I know it very well because we are supplying a little bit, this and that, to customers in Ukraine. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. And Latvian MOD, don't get me wrong, Latvian MOD compared to very many others, especially Americans, but also most of the Europe, are very, very advanced and very, very fast in that regard. So Latvian MOD can do from initial presentation till signed contract and deliveries in like 3 months. It was not imaginable even a year ago, right? But still those 3 months compared to Ukrainian standards are too long. Right? In United States, for comparison, we are supplying also to Pentagon, right? The sales cycle, minimum sales cycle is 7 years. 7 years, right? Because the needs, definitions, specifications were altogether different. So they were not expecting that fast changing environment. And this is our biggest challenge. First, how to isolate those potential companies who could be good suppliers to the armed forces without being punished too heavily for mistakes, right? From the armed forces or from officials, and it's still unanswered. And then I probably have 30 seconds and I have to give a floor to another one. And then there is an ugly component to that. For instance, do you know that good European entity like European Investment Bank, for instance, still have very strict guidance that no arms can be produced with our financing. And they are sitting in a lot of investment funds. And they are investing in the manufacturers, and I know that from the field, right? That they are explicitly forbidden to do anything in defense, right? By some, obscure regulations, which by whatever reason nobody wants to change. Or let's say that quite a loud is not the right word, but the process where Latvian government decided to buy out our telecom companies from Telia, right? Which started with Telia's refusal to give permission to go into defense contracts, which were won by Latvian mobile phone, right? Because again, by some obscure old-time rules, this is dirty, we don't touch it. And I don't think that it's very nice that we are at the fourth year of the war, we still have to fight that sort of legacy. So yeah, startups fair to innovate and fair to finance, and then really very, very obscure regulations. Those are three items, I think.
Thank you, Normunds, for the illustration, I think, of this turbulence in particularly defense sector and the time of change, where we have to be, let's say, much more quick, with different skill sets, with different view towards sustainability and so on. So that's an industry example of defense sector. Let's move to widen out it a bit to science. To Lauma, please.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. I was thinking about the premise of this session. It sort of puts skill development, sustainability, and strategic partnerships in the same classification of sorts. Mm-hmm. But I would say that it still all goes back to skills, because sustainability depends on our skills and our management. How we manage things, and also our strategic partnerships, how we build them, how we collaborate, also depends a lot on our skills. And I wanted to also think about this from the science perspective, and how step back and really look at back at how science is impacted by that and impacts the skills in return, because it's all interconnected, of course. Science is embedded in all these processes, so sustainability, partnerships, and skills. And it's also shaped by them, by creating new knowledge and also by training people in using, for example, the scientific method. So my sort of main thing or main message would be that I think we need to really look at science as a skills engine of sorts. So a sort of and understand what the role of science is in developing different sets of skills and different types of science, because we have had a lot of debates about this, and for example, I clearly see that it's very important to have this balanced support system of different kind of programs. So we have basic science, blue sky research, that really builds our analytical capacity and allows us to dig very deep in certain topics and really discover unknown things. Then we have applied research that builds problem-solving skills and really it builds innovation capacity. And then we have collaboration with the industry and international partners, which again builds communication skills, entrepreneurial skills, and everything else. So basically, all of these elements are needed for science to give back and also get back from the skills that are developed. But mainly, I think this again comes back to sustainability. And basically, human capital is I would say, the most durable infrastructure that a country can build. So obviously, our sustainability relies very heavily on how skilled our human capital is in approaching different kind of turbulent times, as we discussed, and so on. So basically, that's about it. and I think I can give the floor to other
Thank you,
speakers.
Lauma, for the first input. I think we'll eventually tackle it from different sides because science and industry relations, there's a lot to do, especially with such turbulences and the demand. But we know that nothing happens if there's not enough of funding. And from the finance sector, we have Arnis, who I think has interesting examples. But please, your input.
Arnis since 1999 doing kind of banking, exactly after Russian crisis. Very well-known Swedish investors came to Latvia, and at the same time I started. So, but last 10 years approximately, my passion, really hobby and as well work is to provide financing to business. And my personal belief is that, and this is kind of really, this is not like corporate statement, but my belief is that only a wealthy or rich society is stable and independent. And we can see from Eastern, kind of from Russia, where they are starting different activities. Mainly those are very poor countries. So the way how we can be stronger nation and more on really independent country, then that there is big, rich business and people who don't think about kind of how I buy food or pay rent. So that's our mission. Coming to defense, of course, this is learning. As Normunds said, this is something completely new. It is changing super fast. New technologies are coming. This is mainly super capital heavy, which is different from many other industries. So, and that's the reason why startups sometimes cannot grow, because without agreement with a buyer, no one from venture capitalists will invest money to start and grow the business, and then kind of later banks are coming with working capital or so on. From some practical examples, what we are doing now, we are financing our eastern border activities. This is interesting because of many counterparties, public construction company, advisors, and I should say so that compared to average European kind of bureaucracy, we are managing quite well. That's kind of 8 points out of 10, definitely. The speed how we are moving forward, it is kind of, it's very good. That's kind of my measurement. So Patria factory is built by using financing from SEB from Helsinki as well. We have some things in pipeline if it comes to more risky investments, because bank cannot risk with your deposit money to providing to startups. And then, largest drone production as well is financed by us. And financing is only one of the challenges. Another one, which is very kind of, I should say, complex for defense industry, it is kind of transactions, just payments. Because of very complex world, because of different kind of sanctions, different levels of sanctions, reputational risks for the banks. And you cannot imagine sometimes how difficult it is to move money from New York to Stockholm to Riga and then to Kiev. So, and this is what we are doing. We are learning. We are not perfect, but we don't have restrictions. What Normunds said about the European big kind of system, not systemic, but a European Investment Bank on some other funds. So we are quite bravely moving forward, and we are learning. Yeah.
Thank you, Arnis. I think we somehow naturally narrowed down the topics towards defense. And obviously, having Aivars on the panel is obvious way how to continue it this way. Maybe you can share from MOD's perspective what are the things that you emphasize in this.
Thank you. Thank you. Good day. And thank you for organizing this event and whoever's paying for that and also inviting here. I think there was many, and I hope we can expand on many of these issues that were raised here. But clearly, you know, in the Ministry of Defense or armed forces particularly, the thinking or thought approach to any problem is that we're working against the clock. So, and every kind of delay is at our disadvantage. So that's the perspective we're taking. And when people would come and start to tell, I have this great long-term idea, it's always okay. So that's first aspect. The second aspect, I think, and there is great experts in audience I see from great experience from NATO and military. What we, I think, fear most is a presumption that there is a silver bullet that solves all the problems. Every wars can be, you know, won by one thing, and that has been over the history run over and proven wrong. And I still remember. The trouble we went into when we had soldiers in Afghanistan to make sure that they are not basically blown up by roadside bombs. That was the major technological investment. There was so many institutions, so many technologies, just to make sure that soldiers travel through. Whoever is in defense, they know person who has been killed by a roadside bomb, you know, who studied together or worked together. So. And now these days it's kind of we're running to next one, but that problems is just one example. You pile up, and we have to take a long-term perspective, the breadth, and that wouldn't be overtaken. Ministry of Defense works from gender advisor perspective issues to the nuclear weapons because we're part of NATO. So the breadth of the area we should be looking out and thinking and kind of keeping up with is that whole breadth of it. And then on top of it comes I think Normunds mentioned, we want to advance, we want to get the newest, best tools in our hands that we can be most helpful, help the Ukraine, but also make ourselves more secure. And that's where the Latvian little bit disadvantage comes when you talk with Norwegians or Finns, Swedes, Germans. They luckily to have these big monsters that can carry the defense industry along and on the side, and then these small ones can kind of float around this big flotilla. And we hadn't Russians invaded us, probably the WEF, which was becoming in the 30s a defense constructing company, building planes and radios and stuff. I would 100% would believe we would have a big defense industry monster built around that state company WEF that was around in 30s. Obviously, we were kind of Minox and whatnot. You just mentioned that there would be such a strong player in the defense area, which we have to know again, kind of build up from the zero up, and we have to work. We have no other option as work out and go out and build this infrastructure. The sad point is when we sit in Latvia, it's like the defense investment is growing, it's increasing, so that's a good business area to go into, to invest in. The problem is everybody else knows it. US knows it, Germans know it, Swedes know it, everybody is after that money. So there is not competition within, there is a competition across the board, Western world. There is no day I'm not receiving a great idea to be bought, invested in, researched. There is every day definitely at least one proposal arriving one or other way at MOD's doors. So, we want all the best things, but that's the breadth of the issues we're struggling with. So, from the action perspective.
Thank you, Aivars, for the input, and thank you all. I think we opened up quite a bit of things, but one thing that I didn't hear you really addressing yet is that with turbulence, there's challenges, but there are also opportunities. What do you see as the best opportunities for Latvia and maybe Europe and Western world in general in these turbulent times? Where do you see what can we take advantage of?
If I may start,
yes, please.
The partnerships. The defense or technologies, of course we can start something from zero, but the fastest way how to develop is to do joint venture with somebody who knows, who has been doing successfully that. I guess this is the way how small country and relatively poor country, to be honest, should do. So second, government role not should be dominant, because I believe in true capitalism still. So, and the private sector is more productive, but government will have the role, definitely. This is second, opportunity to do things together, to learn. And third one is, so again, we hear many blame to public sector, but as I said, it's not so black or white. We are relatively fast to do decisions and execute. So this is our opportunity compared to old Europe, or kind of how to say that, but this is our advantage and opportunity to build something faster than kind of Germany, France, or Italy is doing.
Fastness. Thank you. Some more inputs, opportunities?
I think the opportunities is, as I mentioned, there is resources allocated to defense purposes. That's great from a user's perspective. We hope to get the tools, but I think that's opportunity for industries, to researchers, and that there is funds, and Latvia, in that sense, could be doing, besides the point, advocating all that there is. I mean, Ministry of Economics has opened up the quite a sizable, funding sources, let's say so. But there is a EU, different programs which are long term. I mean, long term in that sense that it takes time to get the money basically in your hands. But there is, and we are lagging behind the Estonians on the number of submissions and etc. We should be going more after that. There is NATO. We haven't still Diana, and there is many stories, but there is a process around that Diana, where is also funds available, not just Latvian national, but the funds out there, and to be going after. We are from the ministry, and I kind of agree that business needs to be led, but we are trying to put up how to say a structure that companies are more capable going after these resources and more capable to invest into the potential solutions and receive, and so that they can kind of pool that money, different funding sources, that we are not just as you said, staying on our national budget, but we try to use all these funding sources. But opportunities, I think there is quite a number, and I think one more opportunity, and then Normunds mentioned, I think that there is we trying to to support Ukraine as with all the everything we have. But I think that is also opportunity. This gives credibility with Ukrainians, and I know Latvian companies are working in Ukraine already as we speak. So there is already process, but that I think is also an opportunity that shouldn't be missed.
Help and learn with them. I think there was something from Lauma first, and then Arnis.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to sort of build on the argument of small country advantages and also collaborating, because indeed I think the good thing about small countries is that they are in fact small. So it's relatively easy to kind of track what we have, what we need to work on, and what are our strengths, of course. And then when you have identified these strengths, then you can really think about what niches, for example, to develop, what to work on, and how to try to complement your niche skills with skills of others, and then really jointly build together. And because it's, of course, in small countries, it's very critical to build the critical mass, but of course it's easier to do that if you have strategic partnerships. And again, then you can, in small countries, that's the advantage, that we have relatively flexible and agile systems, and it's it should be somewhat easier to experiment a bit. But of course, and again, now we come back to skills and this setup. It really you really need to have also the skills and build the skills to coordinate all that and also organize effective feedback loops, because that's very important when you have strategic partnerships and when you try to improve the policy mix that's available to you and all the processes. Feedback loops with stakeholders is quite crucial.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Normunds?
I have a name for that cooperation in defense industry. For many years, there were term as an offset politics. Anybody remembers offset? It was considered sinister thing, and Commission were fighting it very hard and killed it at the end of the day. But now we have a new name, and it's called local manufacturing component, right? And this is if you have a big defense supplier, buying party is obliging the seller to put some sort of production, some percentage of production in the country which is buying your goods. Right? So, and now it's good again. It's local manufacturing component, which means that if you are buying Irish teas, then probably from that budget there are hundreds of millions of euros which have a potential to land in Latvia as a buying country. And the seller is obliged to find the right companies with right skills and the right technology and teach them. Right? And my belief is that this is only way how you can do it quick, efficient, and completely private. Because without that, none of the sellers all of sellers have zero incentive to do anything apart from buying, from selling the equipment, cashing the money, and running away. So still, again, it's policy, it's politics, and this is government which have to put a set of the rules. And this one is working. It's pity that Mr. Pabriks and Mr. Garrisons are away, but they were guys who made the best and biggest Latvian success story, and this is Patria. And they can tell how hard they were fighting with friendly Finns, who said, it will never work in Latvia, Just buy and drive and be happy. And there was considerable force applied to them in order to start something. And it was a risky endeavor, right? It's always risky if you start something new, which you never did before. But it is government, this is MOD, and this is armed forces who must undertake that sort of risk. And also undertake some pain of failure, because failures will inevitably will come, right? But only if you put the right rules of the game, you can get fast results. Otherwise, it will not work. It will just end up in nice conferences, nice keynote speech, but not in the ground where you are expecting to have some new factories, new skills, and new instruments and weapons coming out. So it's still I never thought. I'm absolutely free market apologist. All my life I have been, and I would never thought that I will start to speak about the government role, about the critical role of government and public sector into developing new skills and developing industries. But otherwise, it's not working. Chinese were supporting their industrialists, for last 30. Americans are doing all the time, but very polite way. Okay, not that polite anymore, but it was always there. Always. Still, if you want to apply for Pentagon for all those fancy programs, R&Ds and tests, etc., you must be American company. None of those bloody foreigners are allowed to be near there.
But if I may comment, yesterday a customer called me from US. He is doing catering for Canadians in some geographies. And then I said, what the hell, what you are doing so long time there? He said, I'm opening bank account in Canada, establishing company. I said, why? Because I cannot be part of procurement otherwise. I should move some part of my business to Canada to be competitive with other
because
players.
everybody is erecting those barriers, and we have to live in that environment, because otherwise we will lose. It's the same, and this is biggest weakness and problem with the EU. We somehow stubbornly think that if we will support the buyer, right? It's for electric vehicles, for instance. You don't support manufacturers. EU is supporting the buyer with subsidy, right? And then those companies, those countries who support their manufacturers, those win. Right? With EU subsidies, Chinese electric vehicles, are selling like a hot cake. So, and we have to face that reality. So the times have changed. And now that theoretical free market is not working anymore, not at all. And of course, it's specifically not in defense industry. Never. Yeah, all hopes in you.
Thanks, Normunds. I think Aivars wanted a remark before we move forward.
He already, I think, covered my points there, but as you are broadcasting his violence, so I will be kind of diplomatic. But in a way, it was, and we still struggling with this, that in early 2000s, EU decided that it wants to make a defense market as any other market, as any sales, whatever, toothpaste or I don't know, potatoes or something. And it's the regulations are there and they are in place, and then there is a real life. As I mentioned, each nation looks after their critical industries. I think that would be proper term. Critical industries that support their sovereignty, that support their R&D, designated areas of R&D, which each have stated this is something whatever will come or go, this is ours, and we will keep investing there, and there will not be free market in that. And these two realities, obviously, with war, comes into great conflict in that sense, and I think that. There's some reckoning would be worthwhile for the EU to be more, adjusted itself to supporting the defense industries if it would recognize the reality, how it's actually working now these days.
Thank you. Before opening the floor for questions from the audience, I wanted to expand a bit on Lauma's idea that skills matter the most. We heard from Normunds a good example that you change the rules of game so that the producer has to put the skills here in Latvia. What other ways you see in the skill development, science, relations with industry and so on? But please.
Can I ask what? Because I know what Normunds will tell. That's why I want to jump over. Yes, we need STEM. We need quite a lot STEM for defense industry. I was one. The other, what the defense industry, what capability? Yes, they need engineers. And you said it's resource intensive, but it's not just. It's technologically.
This includes that.
Technologically intensive, and it might be software, but it's still it's engineering work. So it's a technological, engineering intensive area by its setup. It's not welfare, it's not social, it's engineering business, and I think I hope all these startups are not just buying over each other's best engineers, and we are just having a merry-go-round. Each companies are fighting for 3 people. For a fact, I think I know in artificial intelligence in Latvia, I think more or less happens like that. There is a few people, and then they are each after them. So how to, opportunities. We need these skills on which we can build, but obviously they haven't. So I wanted to take Normunds taking notes.
But let me come back to you first, because as being a vice rector of a classical university, we see that, of course, for industry, hard sciences are needed, right? STEM is essential. But to take them up and to be, let's say, resilient in the use, I think social sciences and humanities are equally important. But so do you have a take back on that, or we continue with the STEM part and focus on the industry of defense at the moment? And keep that for coffee break, for example. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe on this STEM ideas, how do you see other ways how we can, not only by forcing knowledgeable companies to invest in Latvia so that it's part of the pipeline, what other ways we have?
I will not speak about engineers. Normunds knows better. But this round is happening. You're right. Everyone is buying from each. And then what is important, this is our observation, one of the things which we measure when we do loan origination decision is management quality. And in kind of super complex world, managers needs to be, and this is essentially important, very flexible. And it comes to any participant of ecosystem. Is it bank or production company or Ministry of Defense? And you can see that if there is no enough kind of flexibility, which means you are constantly learning, you understand what is changing in the world, you are not able to do qualitative decisions. And this skill is essentially needed. Good manager is super flexible nowadays.
Thank you for this input. I think very important. Lauma, do you have something to add?
Yes. Backing a bit away from STEM, because you mentioned the importance of social sciences and humanities as well. Of course, if we look at the defense issues more broadly, then it's also a discussion about resilience and everything. And of course, social sciences and humanities play a great role when we speak about topics like patriotism, resilience of the society, civil engagement, all of these issues, and also the sustainability of our culture, of our languages, their ability to thrive and continue on existing and developing. So I think this also sort of requires some sort of discussion and recognition that is very important. Well, yes, that basically is what I wanted to say. I had another idea, but I forgot while I was saying the previous, so maybe I will remember it. But
okay, thanks. Normunds, do you have something quick to add?
Just small notes. There were two big pushes in United States, which created tremendous growth in engineering and science, and discoveries. Do you know which they were? First one, it was Manhattan's project, right? How many? At least 100,000 scientists were involved, right? And there were a lot of consequences coming from that, a lot of discoveries, right, which were not only applicable into military. And second huge boost was Apollo project. Let's put the man on the moon, right? And I think Europe is lacking some sort of focus into new industries, new engineerings, or new challenges. So Europe is built that each researcher is free to apply for small grant every year according to his liking, right? And then there is a commission of smart men who is somehow trying to judge, you will get that grant and you will not. And at the end of the day, every scientist all the time are sitting and writing an applications for the grants. Now life is a bit easier because of ChatGPT, but still the process is extremely distributed, right? So, and what we would love if at European level and also at the national levels, there were some 1, 2, 3 priorities. And then all the scientists community were tasked to solve that problem. Otherwise, it's, mostly that science is like, social benefit for smart people. It's maybe nothing bad at it, but you cannot expect stellar results out from that approach. So it's let's say, it's my understanding that, again, government.
Let me correct you with the fact that in Horizon Europe, in the second pillar, actually there are certain priorities. The problem, of course, is they are fragmented afterwards in small projects.
It's written
and
like a
sometimes it's the
Bible,
big
you know,
picture,
you
but
can
maybe
read.
Lauma can add on top of it. Yeah.
Everything.
Of course, it's when we speak about more on the applied research side. Then, of course, I'm also I think generally the concept of, for example, Mariana Mazzucato's mission-oriented approach is quite logical and absolutely makes sense. The difficult part is to actually define these priorities and find a common goal that actually kind of brings everyone on the same page. So it's a bit difficult. Yes. And,
maybe this is a good time to open up for questions, otherwise we'll be too late. So we have 10 minutes for questions. Audience, if you have any, I think a hand over there. If the microphone could run there, we could take it. Perfect. If you could state who you are and the question as well.
Thank you very much. My name is Elizabeth Sparane, and my question is regarding the human capital and the skills. What are the exact steps that needs to be taken to increase the skills of human capital, and especially in crisis management? Thank you.
So, skills in crisis management in particular and concrete steps.
That's probably false more in my, but I think the best is, I mean, I don't want to dismiss the structured learning process, but the exercising. You can read a book on crisis and it wouldn't help you in a moment of need. Doing, working through the steps and repeatedly, continuously, and improving. Each time after doing the exercising, you build your, basically muscle memory, how to react, and the more you would, go through that cycle, the more advanced you will be. I'm not sure that kind of was after the answer, but that's the best advice I can mention. Especially on this crisis management side, definitely. Otherwise, skills increase human capital skills. We talked a bit about STEM. Do you see anything else apart from boosting the quality of high school education?
No, there is no magic. There is no magic. So we need the right teachers in the classrooms, and we need a vigorous testing. It's not the other way, and it will not happen overnight. No, the first big step is taken. Physics exam is obligatory from this year. A nation will fall in, what is the right name? Ģibonis, tell me. Because the results will be that bad that, yes, and we know it, and that was the reason why Ministry of Education were fighting that for 20 years, right? Because you cannot improve what you cannot measure. It's all is fine. So on this, start with tests and start with measuring, and then we will see our deficiencies, and then we can meaningfully discuss what is the items which needs improvement. It's as that, and you cannot do it overnight, unfortunately. No. And of course you can do a drills, and you need to do a drills. You have to crash a lot of drones in order to teach your soldiers how to fly a drone. You cannot do it theoretically, right? And there is still, you have to crash them every day, right? Therefore, you need to buy them in big quantities, from manufacturers. And then the manufacturers will improve their skills, how to make a better drones and how to make them cheaper. It's no other way. And it means you have to burn a lot of money. Yeah? It's a times we are living in.
Thanks. I saw a second question there. If we could go to the middle. Yep.
Thank you. Maria Golubeva. I would like to follow up on the question of social sciences and humanities. I think so far at least, we didn't hear a very important point, and that is that for hybrid warfare, especially for cognitive warfare, actually this combination of skills, you need someone who understands tech on the one hand and understands social sciences or even humanities on the other hand. If you think of all the really frontline companies in the US that specialize in that, like Mythos Labs, like Edge Theory, etc. They deal with narratives. They deal with lots of humanities and social sciences stuff, but they also deal with AI with AI avatars and things like that. And I mean, as someone who's trying to build a platform for crisis exercises, actually, I'm doing one of the workshops after this break. You know, it's not so easy to find people who can think in terms of a scenario for a crisis simulation for a company, which combines technical knowledge and imagination. Because without imagination, you can't build a good scenario. Scenarios are not for what you know, it's for what you don't know that will happen. So what about Latvia's outlook regarding this combination of social science and tech knowledge? What is the outlook there, in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. We can't push this towards coffee break. We have to answer this. Please.
Yes, you don't take me wrong from my side, obviously. And I'm a history buff, and in a way, I mean, that's the biggest failure we can, that we think that we live in an exceptional time. Anybody happened like things happens to us. And there is nothing to look back, and nothing is nothing comparable, and everything we have to start basically invent the bicycle or something. I think but then there is a danger falling up and there's a over socializing problems, and I think there is quite a lot of papers been written and discussion been on all what we tried to do. I'm looking at what was this nation building and counter insurgency hope. That there is a hope in some. You can basically construct somehow artificial peace or something. It has been given a bad name for this. Let's be frank about it. But that definitely don't. And one thing I just have to mention today, I think, is a conference Frontline, and that's with MOD support. We investing into artificial intelligence with together Center of Excellence for Stratcom, doing exactly investing resources and people into building our capabilities to be especially this this cyber sphere, or how not to be kind of pushed out of that sphere and being on top of it than being overwhelmed with this. So that is important area we're working, I think, as well as we speak. And there is a conference today on that matter, I think, parallel.
But to maybe shape it a bit, we talked about drills, about how to react, right? But about this cognitive part, right? About cyber threats, and not physical, but disinformation and so on. Do we see that we have to improve on that part as well? Actually, also industry-directed.
I'm drawing parallels. You cannot imagine how the kind of fraud business is developing all around the world. And I am drawing parallels with that. And even kind of people, well-educated, even engineers, they are giving to fraudsters their money because their brain is not prepared to defend themselves. And this is one of the challenges all around the world. We just see that bad thing is growing rapidly.
And we are addressing it in a wrong way. So we have regulations, we need an officer responsible for that, we need 100 pages descriptions, signatures, etc. EU bureaucratized all of that. What we really need is the drills every day. So this is what we do in our company. So we are sending, like every week, we are sending, fake, or we are creating those phishing emails, right? And then counting those guys who pushed on those buttons. And then we are doing the re-educational process, one by one. So come here, what did you do? Why did you do? How it happened? And you are right in that regard, that those are most skilled, doctors of science.
Yes.
In fact, are most susceptible to
Yes.
that. I don't know why. They trust people. Right? They trust information they were sent. So, and in that regard, yes, you can't born to be immune to that. Right? But you need the drills, real life drills, and not the piles of papers. Unfortunately, we are forced into piles of papers. Yes, its problem is known, but we are, as many things in EU, we are trying to solve it in a wrong way. We try to cover that in papers. You know? The more paper, the cleaner is your bottom. This is the same. You know? It's not good. Yeah. Not good.
Real life drills. Exactly.
Yeah.
Lauma, something to add on
Burn
this?
a tire and then give a people extinguisher, try to, extinguish it. And this is altogether very, very different from, pushing multiple choice answers in the regular
the test.
fire
hazard
test.
Exactly.
Let's burn something.
Thanks,
Army people know that very well.
Lauma, some last words? on
Yeah,
this?
so I remembered the remark I wanted to make previously, and I think it kind of maybe sums it up somewhat, is that I thought that what is actually the big spillover of science and learning and also exercising and doing these drills, different kind of drills, is basically critical thinking, which is quite an important skill, and many things develop from that onward. So yes, maybe my last remark would be that critical thinking is really one of the science's big spillovers that we have to recognize. And we really need to exercise this all the time.
Indeed. So thank you. As we are running out of time, let me finalize it here. So we heard that we need to be in the strengths part of changing the rules of the game so that we can take it to our advantage. We can develop skills, flexibility, critical thinking are among those that we need the most, not only in hard sciences, but also in the other social sciences, humanities, so that we are resilient across the board. Take advantages of the time, the thing we didn't have time to discuss about what happens after. There are going to be more peace at some point, I hope, but that we open up for coffee break or other discussions. So thank you, everybody, especially the speakers. Thank you.